I don't know what, if you have a name for your version of the Wildcat, but how did you think that went for the first time?
Well, we just ran a few plays in it, and we thought it was good. Yeah, we don't call it any. We're not tricky. We call it Wildcat.
Okay.
It's not the Wild Kangaroo or anything like that. And that was good. I thought Gary Pride did a nice job operating. Whether we continue to do that or not, we'll have to see how we go. But we thought in the Indiana game it made sense to give us a couple plays, which it did give us a couple plays.
Was there any thought that, of not showing that to any conference opponents, or he didn't really?
No.
Okay. It also looked like you used the, I don't know if you actually did in terms of numbers, but it seemed like the fullback was in there more, maybe?
We were.
You think?
We in the first half, I'd say that we were more regular personnel with the fullback. In the second half, Indiana adjusted their defense to make it harder to run out of regular personnel. Then we went to our three receiver set more in the second half.
Can you comment for me on how Austin Bailey has done for you?
We're very pleased with how Austin Bailey's played. Very pleased with how he played, and he's improved every week. And he's growing up, and I think he has a bright future with us.
Steve had a good point about not showing that Wildcat, but also on the other part of it, isn't it make opponents have to prepare more things for you? I mean,
Yes.
you think, oh,
The more
we
you do,
got to work on the Wildcat.
The more you do, the more opponents have to prepare for. I mean, if you just watch Northern Illinois, for example, Northern Illinois runs the pistol, okay, they run the zone read, they run the power, they run the quarterback power, they run empty. I mean, it makes you spend a lot of time on that. And so we just look at each game as a separate entity. And what we thought we needed to do to try to win the Indiana game included the Wildcat. What we need to, as we look at the Northern Illinois game, we need to win. Don't know. We'll find out Saturday night what it includes. But whatever. Each game brings different issues, different problems. To attack different things, whether it be on defense or offense. And I think you within your system, you try to attack those areas.
Rob, you mentioned about Northern swarming the football defensively. How do they get their pressures? Do they use is it just the defensive line? Do they do a lot of blitzing?
Their two defensive ends, Kaufman and Prager, are really good players. And they really get great push, and they get up the field and do a really good job. The first and second down, they're not as much a pressure team. When they get to situational football, they become more. But those two defensive ends are very talented.
I ask because of Patrick being sacked, I think, 10 times in the first 4 games. Does it put more emphasis on giving him on the line, to giving him more time when he does have to go back to throw?
Well, we're always trying to emphasize giving him more time on the line of scrimmage. A couple of those sacks last week weren't on the line. Patrick could have taken care of that, particularly on one of them. He certainly could have taken care of that by stepping up and delivering the ball. So sometimes you look at sacks and it can be deceiving.
Okay.
Because sometimes they might be on a receiver,
Right.
sometimes they could be on the quarterback, sometimes they could be on the line, could be on a back and protection. There's a lot of entities that go into that number.
If I recall, as I haven't looked it up, but I don't think Harnish played against Akron last year.
He did not.
No.
Last year.
So I haven't seen a whole lot. I mean, can you assess him as a passer? We know he can run, but what about when he throws it?
Well, I think the best assessment of a quarterback would be if he wins,
Right.
and this guy wins. And they ask him to do run and pass, he does well. And he's a really good player.
I know Almondo went out. Did he come back in?
He did.
Right, okay. So, any injuries this week?
Nobody that's of any note that's going to be out. Everybody should be, we should have most all hands on deck this week.
It was nice to see Gary Pride and Jaleel Carter start to come on,
Yeah.
with Allen and Bernie and LaFrance obviously being the go-to guys. Are there going to be anything aside from the Wildcat that you're going to try to do to implement those guys more?
Well, now, if I told you that, I'd be telling everybody. I think Jaleel has practiced really well each week, and he's really grown, and he's doing a nice job on kickoff returns. And it was good to get Gary involved. Gary's caught some balls in the flat, run some good routes, but we're just trying to find different ways to get guys that can make plays a chance to do that. But the biggest way is by, when we put you in a position like Jaleel on some of those slants to make those plays.
Right.
And on that 3rd down and 11
Catch the ball.
completion, being there. So if we can continue to grow with that, I felt like our receiver core would get better as the season went on. I felt like they, made some strides last week in that game.
Steve mentioned Austin Bailey. I know you're redshirting, about maybe 60% of your freshman class, maybe?
We are playing Austin Bailey, Richard Hall, Keith Sconyers, Antoine Russell, Anthony Holmes, Sheldon Miller, Nico Capone. I think could have seen Seth Cunningham playing now. So we are redshirting some guys. We are I'd say half of the group is playing and half of the group is redshirt.
I guess my question was, of those redshirted players, you see them in practice, are some of those kids pretty impressive without mentioning names? Are they an impressive group?
Yeah, I like the group we recruited. I do. I think the group we recruited is with 6 weeks to do that. I'm very pleased with that, and I think that also gives us every reason, and Zips fans every reason to believe we'll continue to recruit very well here as we build our program year after year.
And a guy like Giorgio may not carry much from scrimmage, but he makes a big hit for you on the kick.
He made a really good hit. He
Yeah.
plays on he's on punt return, he's on kickoff coverage, he's on kickoff return. Giorgio gets a lot of work in the games, and he got some snaps in Kentucky, and he'll continue to be our 3rd tailback. But sometimes your 3rd tailback, especially the way Nate and Alex are running the ball, the 3rd tailback isn't going to get as much run at this time. But he's improving each week, and you're learning how to play college football. The biggest thing for a freshman coming in is you're learning how to play college football at a high level, and this is a very high level. And each week they do a little bit better in that.
I mean, these guys don't practice like that in high school.
I know. I think that our tempo of practice has been different for a lot of folks on our team.
That kid from Cleveland, or Cuyahoga Heights, he's coming in January, quarterback. Or not, or is he not coming?
I just don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, did he sign? Yeah, but did he sign? Oh, for now, okay.
We're going to have several young guys coming to school in January.
Why did they delay that in general? Why did they?
That'll be when you turn this off.
Are you pleased with, I know
I thought he signed, though.
I asked you before about recruiting. Are you still pleased with the general reception you and the staff are getting when you go out
We're
and
getting
talk to
good
kids?
reception. We're getting good response on the phone. You get a certain number of days to be out there, recruit. We used one of our opportunities before we played Kentucky to blanket the Cincinnati area. We're going to do that again here in another couple weeks. And but I'm pleased with our response. I'm pleased with the guys that are interested. We've had a number of guys already give us verbal commitments. Some that people know of, some that people don't. And we're forging ahead at that at a good pace.
Thank you.
Greg got a phone call. Thanks for coming.
Your wife said you better win.